So today we have verses 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 lined up of the Bhakti Yoga, chapter 12 of the Bhagavad Gita. And we will take up 3 and 4 together. So we will chant them together. I will start. Te tvam aksharam anirdeshyam avyaktam paryupasate sarvatra gammachintayam cha kūthastam achalam dhruvam sanniyam yendriyagramam sarvatra sambudhaya te prapruvanti mameva sarvabhuta hiterataha. So these two verses translate as follows. Verse number 3 translates to, those indeed who worship the imperishable, indefinable, unmanifest, omnipresent, unthinkable, unchanging, immovable, and eternal. Verse number 4 translates to, having well restrained the group of senses regarding everything equally, rejoicing in the welfare of all beings, they also reach me. So let's take this up word by word. Ye is who or those, tu indeed, aksharam. So that is imperishable, which cannot be divided further. Imperishable. So we had a whole chapter, chapter 8, on Akshar Brahma Yoga. Anirdeshayam, that means which cannot be defined, which cannot be indicated to. Avyaktam, which does not manifest itself, or the unmanifest. Paryupasate, worship. Sarvatra gam, which is present everywhere. Sarvatra is everywhere, gam is present. So sarvatra gam becomes omnipresent. Achintayam. Chintayam is something on which you can do chintan or you can think about. So achintayam becomes unthinkable. Cha and kutstham is which does not change, which is fixed or which does not change itself. Achalam, which does not move. Chal is moving, achal becomes immovable. Dhruvam is that which is eternal. So this was verse number 3. Those indeed who worship the imperishable, indefinable, unmanifest, omnipresent, unthinkable, unchanging, immovable, and eternal. Verse number 4. Sanniyama is having restrained, well restrained. Okay. Indriya gramam, gram we know is a village or a group. Indriya is the senses. So Indriya gramam becomes a group of senses. Sarvatra, which is everywhere. Sambuddhaya, which regards everyone as equal. Some is with equanimity or with equality. So Sambuddhaya means that someone who regards everyone equally. Te is they. Prapnuvanti, reach. Mam, me. Ev also. Sarva bhut hite. So sarv is all, bhut is beings, hit is welfare or well-being. So sarv bhut hite becomes in welfare of all beings. Rata is someone who is rejoicing. So having well restrained the group of senses regarding everything equally, rejoicing in the welfare of all beings, they also reach me. So this was verse number 4. So together the verses 3 and 4 translate to, I will repeat, those who worship the imperishable, indefinable, unmanifest, omnipresent, unthinkable, unchanging, immovable, and eternal, having well restrained the group of senses regarding everything equally, rejoicing in the welfare of all beings, they also reach me. So let's chant it together, verses 3 and 4. Ye tvaraksharam anirdesham avyaktam paryupasate सर्वत्र गमचिन्तयं च कूटस्थं मचलं ध्रुवम् सन्नियं येन्द्रियग्रामं सर्वत्र सम्भूतया ते प्राप्नुवन्ति मामेव सर्वभूतहिते रताः. So, see, in the previous, the chapter starts with Arjun asking the question of whether the worshipping a form is better or worshipping the formless is better. And in verse 2, Krishna has already said that worshipping the form is best. Now, what is happening is that in these two verses, verses 3 and 4, Krishna is supporting the formless worship. And basically, what is happening is that we have to see our inclination. What kind of people are we? We are all a mixture of the gunas, and some of us are more emotional. And so we would like to follow the devotional path, or the where we can identify with a form and worship the form. Some of us are more intellectual. We like to analyze, and we can relate to we can take our intellect all the way to God. So a devotional seeker may need a form, but the intellectual can reach the God without a form, and they can extend the intellect right up to God through meditation. Now, the point is that before, however, we sit down for meditation, we have to prepare ourselves at the level of the body, mind, and intellect. And you may recollect the chapters 3, 4, 5, and then we came to 6, which was the yoga of meditation. So before that, we were being explained all the practices at the level of the body, mind, and intellect, which prepare us to sit for meditation. So basically, these are the practices of the Karma Yoga, or the path of action at the level of the body, Bhakti Yoga, or the path of devotion at the level of the mind, and Gyan Yoga, the path of knowledge at the level of the intellect. So at the sense level or at the physical level, we must check the indulgence of our senses into the objects of the world. And we must ensure that our senses are not riding us. We are riding the senses. Okay. So, like, if the choice is between coming for the class or attending a party, we should have our priorities right. And instead of the party driving my intellect, we should be clear as to what is to be, what is has more priority. Okay. And so we are the rider and not the senses. The senses are not riding us. The second thing that is coming out is that at the mental level, we must be tuned towards the welfare of all people around us. Right. So similarly, when we start with the starting invocation, it says that all of us who are sitting together work towards a particular goal, and we harbor no ill will towards each other. So we must develop a feeling of love and affection for all around us. This will help us relate at the intellectual level to that oneness or the substratum, which is there, which is the substratum of all creation, actually. So that oneness, as opposed to me as one, full of ego and who is working for myself only. So I want to be the best, and I want to be the most beautiful person. I want to be the most talented. No, we work towards everyone being beautiful, everyone being good, and reveling, deriving pleasure from that. So once we work for the welfare of or seek joy in the welfare of all beings, we automatically start seeing oneness and start identifying with that substratum. That is when we qualify actually for meditation. So that is what these practices are all being listed in verse number 4 for us. And when we sit in meditation, what do we meditate on? That is being given in verse number 3 here. So the point is that for such a person to meditate, once he or she is qualified to sit for meditation, what should that person meditate upon? Aksharam, the imperishable. So Brahman is that imperishable, changeless substratum upon which this perishable, transient, fleeting world exists. So it is that underlying reality which supports and is there forever. So that is that Aksharam. Anirdeshayam. Now, that means, literally, it means indefinable. So you can define something which has attributes. Reality has no properties, so it cannot be defined. It's logical. It cannot be defined, right? Avyaktam, or unmanifest. So God is a transcendental idol that is unknown to us. We cannot see it. It's unmanifest. So Brahman is beyond the terrestrial experiences and is beyond comprehension by our finite faculties. So sense organs cannot perceive it, mind cannot feel it, and intellect cannot comprehend it. So because it is beyond the reach of the body, mind, and intellect, it is unmanifest. We cannot experience it. So it's avyaktam. Sarvatra Gam is omnipresent. God is all pervading. It's that reality, that substratum on which everything exists. And Brahman also, or God, pervades the three states of consciousness, our waking, dreaming, and deep sleep states. And in fact, it extends beyond the three realms, these three realms of existence. Then the next adjective is achintayam. See, some of the adjectives are feeding into each other. So, we have to, they're related actually. Achintayam is unthinkable. Now, the God is formless, infinite. Human equipment, on the other hand, is finite, and therefore it finds it difficult to go from finiteness to infiniteness. So, and actually, that is what we have to do. We have to go from the finite to the infinite, but we find it difficult to perceive. So, that infinite nature, because God is beyond our understanding. Thinking or contemplation is confined always to an object of thought. Now, the pure consciousness, which is unmanifest, cannot be thought of, and therefore it is being referred to as unthinkable. Kuthastham is unchanging or changeless. So we see the nature around us. The winter gives way to spring, and which gives way to summer and monsoons, etc. We see our body, it changes. Our thoughts, they change. Our emotions change. And all this, the nature and ourselves, we are enlivened by that Paramatman, that God. But that God itself remains unchanged. That God is the changeless substratum on which all this change rests and is supported by that changeless substratum. Achalam, immovable. Now that this is actually straight away from the Sarvatra Gam. It says Sarvatra Gam means omnipresent. So it's present everywhere. So when you're present everywhere, what is movement? So you move from point A to point B. That means you are at point A and not at point B. Therefore, you move from point A to point B. But if you're there everywhere, where do you move? So you will not move. Therefore, Brahman, because it's omnipresent and all pervading, has to be logically immovable. It's there. Wherever it moves, it's already there. Dhruvam is eternal. It was always there. It has, it was there in the past. It is there now. It will be there in the future. And the creation that we see around us, ourselves, we are changing, transient, fleeting, and impermanent. But God, the substratum on which this changing world and beings rest, is eternal. So these were the adjectives that I thought I would explain, take some time to explain. With that, let's move on to verse number 5. क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवादिभर्व्यापते. So the verse translates to greater is their difficulty whose minds are set on the unmanifest. For the goal, the unmanifest is hard for the embodied to reach. Let's take this up word by word. Klesh is a problem or unpleasant situation. We will take it as difficulty here. Adhiktar, greater, more. Tesham, of those. Avyak, sakt, chetasam. So avyakt is what is unmanifested, and asakt chetasam is attachment. So avyak asakt chetasam becomes whose minds are attached or set on the unmanifest. So people who are looking for that unmanifest or seeking the unmanifest or doing formless worship. Avyakta. So this again means unmanifest, but now it's a proper noun. It's referring to that unmanifest God. He is for, translates to for. Gati is goal. Dukham, hard. They vabidhi means who are embodied. They is body. So their vidhi becomes embodied. Avapyate is reached. So the verse translates to greater is their difficulty whose minds are set on the unmanifest. For the goal, the unmanifest is hard for the embodied to reach. So let's chant it together. क्लेशोऽधिकतरस्तेषाम् अव्यक्तासक्तचेतसाम् अव्यक्ता हि गतिर्दुःखम् देहवद्भिर्वाप्यते. So the chapter started with Arjun's question as to which is a better form of worshipping a god as a form or formless reality. And in the next 3 verses, Krishna, the scientist, has laid down the, both the paths, given all the information to Arjun, both for worshipping a form and for formless worship. But he is indicating that worshipping a form may be better. And that is what he had done in verse 2. Even in this verse, verse number 5, he is discouraging formless worship to Arjun. The key word here is when he is talking about, when Krishna says that the embodied may find it difficult to reach their goal by worshipping the unmanifest. Sorry about my throat. So embodiment is the key, or taking physical form is the key. See, we as humans have a form and we interact. So when I'm interacting with you, that's why, when we have these virtual meetings, at times it's difficult. We like to see the form, we like to see your image, right? So because we are habitual of transacting or interacting with forms. Also, most of us, a lot of us, are centered around our body, so we are attached to our body and we take care of the body and we are interested in making it look better, and also the sense objects. So we are those extroverts who are moving around into the world, and we find it easier to uh, interact or relate to a form as opposed to the inconceivable, unthinkable, transcendental reality. The objects of the world or the ideal or the form keeps our mind attuned or focused on that particular form. So therefore, Krishna is saying that the difficulty is greater for the people whose minds are set on unmanifest because it is difficult to reach. So that was verse number 5. Then we move on to verse number 6 and 7. We will take them up together. I will chant. ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्यनेव योगेन मामधयायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्रदर्ताः मृत्यु संसार सागरात् भवामि न चिरार्थ पार्थः मय्यावेशित चेतसाम्. So the verses translate as follows. Verse number 6. But those who worship me, renouncing all actions in me, regarding me as supreme, meditating on me with single pointed yoga. And verse number 7 translates to, for those whose minds are set on me, I become soon, O Partha, the deliverer from the ocean of death bound sansar, or the mundane existence. Let's take this up word by word. Ye is who or those, tu but, sarvani is all, karmani actions, mai in me, sanyasya renouncing, matparah regarding me as supreme, ananyan without any other, so single pointed, ev only, yogain by yog, through yog, by yog, mam me, dhayayant or meditating, ध्यान रखना, ध्यान पे आना, upasate worship, tesham for them, aham I, samudharta is the deliverer, the one who takes across the ocean, mrityu sansar, sagarat. So mrityu sansar, the ocean of death, sagarat is the ocean. So mrityu sansar sagarat becomes from ocean of death. Sansar is the worldly existence, the mundane existence. Bhavami, I become. Na, not. Chirat, before long or soon. Parth is name for Arjun, son of Prithu. Mai in me. Aveshit chetasam, of those whose minds are set. So the verses together translate as follows. But those who worship me, renouncing all actions in me, regarding me as supreme, meditating on me with single pointed yoga, for those whose minds are set on me, I become soon, O Parth, the deliverer from the ocean of death bound sansar. So let's chant it together. ये तु सर्वाणि कर्माणि मयि सन्न्यस्य मत्पराः अनन्येनैव योगेन मां ध्यायन्त उपासते तेषामहं समुद्धर्ता मृत्यु संसार सागरात् भवामि न चिरार्थ पार्थः मय्यावेशित चेतसाम्. So now these two verses verses 6 and 7 are providing us with the mental, sorry, let me proceed in order, physical, mental, and intellectual disciplines to prepare us to sit in meditation on that God. So, all actions at the body level are to be directed towards self unfoldment, which is the highest goal. And here we are talking about every action. It's not that every Monday when I go to the temple, I think of God for 1 hour and then I do what I want to do for the rest of the day. In and through every action, we have to continuously dedicate that action to God. When we perform actions in this manner, the mind is disciplined, and all the energy that we generate within ourselves and at the mental level, that energy is not dissipated. It helps us focus further on God. And we are able to surrender completely to the Lord. Now the intellect is free and it's able to reflect and contemplate upon the self with no otherness. We are not worried what my boss is going to say, or I've not met my deadline. All that is gone out now. I did the best I could, and that's it. I can't do more than that. So now let me, and that I did thinking of God, and now my intellectual faculties are available to think and contemplate on God. So basically, these are the same practices of Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Gyan Yoga. And they are being referred to as Yoga in this verse, Yogin, the second word of the second line of the sixth verse. So they are being referred to as Yoga. Yoga is union with that supreme reality. So these disciplines of the Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Gyan Yoga, they help. What are they doing actually? What are they doing? Anyone for that? What are these disciplines doing? The disciplines of Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga.
Making us unite with God, bringing us closer to God.
How?
By making us concentrate on God.
Okay, how are you able to concentrate?
By sacrificing everything to Him.
What is the
By
cause of rebirth?
vasanas, okay, getting rid of our vasanas.
Yeah, desires. So
Okay.
all these disciplines are actually helping us reduce our desires, and so the new vasanas are not generated. So that is one aspect. And then because we do not have desire, or the desires get reduced and the vasanas get reduced, our faculties are more available for concentration on God. So it's like when we sit down with a phone, at least it happens to me so many times that I have to send a message, so I go to WhatsApp, and then I discovered that I've missed so many messages, and by the time I deal with those messages, I've actually forgotten that what had I come to this place for. And so my faculties were completely absorbed or taken up by the other messages, which was really not my agenda. So once the faculties are available, I'm able to concentrate on the task at hand, or on my ultimate goal, or concentrate on God. And when we do that, so naturally it's a chicken and egg situation. The desires further reduce, and what am I doing? I'm disentangling myself from the cycle of birth and death. And therefore, when I have no vasanas remaining in me, I have actually liberated. There's no need for me to take a birth again. And I'm free. I'm free from this cycle of birth and death. Now, the time taken, the word that he's using is before long, chirat. So, before long or soon, that person reaches me. Now, the time taken will depend upon the state, our state. So, if I'm a very, desire ridden person, naturally for me to take off these desires from my personality may take some time. And also my level of commitment to take off these desires. So, one cannot say that in one day you will reach God, or in 1 year you will reach God. It depends upon the level at which you are functioning and how much you are willing to let go of things. So what is your current state of conditioning, and how soon you are able to decondition yourself? So he says, but rest assured that soon you will reach me. And what does that mean? That state of absolute bliss and peace. Once we have set the goal, we will reach it. That we have been reading through all the chapters till now, that whatever is the goal that we set for us and work towards that goal in a dharmic manner, we will attain it. And Krishna is saying, personifying that state as me here. And he is also reassuring that I, or God himself, will become the deliverer of us. Okay. So he will take us there. Now, I thought I will take some time to bring out a small logic or nyaya pranali as we have in our in the Indian way of presenting logic. Okay, nyaya is not really judgment or something as it's loosely we translate it to English. What it is means is something that you can repeat. It's a repetitive rule that you can apply, and therefore the judgments, when we look at the nyaya, it means that whatever applies to a poor person or a person in a particular category should actually apply across categories of people. Okay, so that is what nyaya is. Now, always we have been, all of us have undergone this, that, the relationship between a devotee and God. Okay. And this whole chapter is actually devoted on the way to worship God. So whether we should do Sagun Bhakti or worship a form, or Nirgun Bhakti, the formless Bhakti. Now, the two categories of bhaktas that we discuss, the ones that worship a form and the ones that worship the unmanifest Akshar Brahm, or the formless, we have to understand two Nyaya pranalis, which is the Marjal Nyaya. Marjal is the Sanskrit word for cat. So Marjal Nyaya is the cat Nyaya. And Markat Nyaya. Markat means monkey. So Markat Nyaya becomes the monkey Nyaya. Okay. And the two forms of Nyaya are based on how these animals, the cat and the monkey, handle their little ones, the babies. Okay. So how the cat handles a kitten, and how does a monkey handle the baby monkey. So I'm sure you would have observed these two varieties of animals. There enough in our neighbor, around us. So when the question specifically is in, taking the baby with you. So have you noticed the difference between the cat and the monkey? Anyone would like to mention? Would like to mention the observation, how the cat moves the kitten and how the monkey moves the baby monkey.
So the cat takes the kitten in her mouth,
Yes.
moves her so forcefully in a way.
Yes.
While in the monkey, the baby clings to the mother.
Absolutely.
And moves.
Brilliant. This is what we have to see. So Sonia has brought out the difference. The cat, if you've noticed, and you may observe it, for those who have missed it out, look at how the cat moves the baby kitten. It, takes hold of the baby from the neck in her mouth and carries it. Okay. And then deposits it at wherever place the baby is to be left. So the mother cat is holding the kitten firmly enough in the mouth so that the baby doesn't drop. And also at the same time, gently enough so that the baby is not injured. The kitten is not injured. So this is one a best example of how to deal or how to be firm and gentle simultaneously. And the mother cat is assuming all the responsibility of the movement of the kitten from one place to the other. The baby has no responsibility. Kitten has no responsibility. This is Marjal Nyaya. As mentioned, in case of monkey, the baby monkey clings to the belly of the mother monkey. And the mother monkey is actually moving around from tree to tree. I mean, normal movement, jumping from branches to branches. It's normal movement of the monkey, the adult monkey. And now if the baby does not hold strongly or firmly enough to the mom's belly, the baby will fall and get injured. So this is Markat Nyaya. In this case, the entire responsibility is on the baby monkey and not on the mother. Okay. So when we are talking of the two seekers, now I'll bring it back to the Sagun Bhakti and Nirgun Bhakti. Sagun Bhakti, where where we worship a form, the entire responsibility is taken up by the Lord himself. The cat takes the responsibility. The bhaktas or the devotees, the seeker, should have attained that level of sadhana, through the various practices of karma yoga, bhakti yoga, and jnana yoga, that the Lord is encouraged to take them across the sansara, which Krishna has just mentioned in verse number 7. So these are all the Marjal Nyai seekers. And the other seekers who look for the unmanifest, they are the Markat Nyai seekers. It is their responsibility. If they fail, they are owning that responsibility, they fail. Okay, so they are seeking the Lord who is within them, the Markat Nyai seekers, but they are like the baby monkey. They are the ones who cling to the Lord, who will try to please the Lord, try to reach the Lord and be with the Lord. But if they fail in reaching the Lord, they accept it as their responsibility. Now see, Arjun is very often gets confused in these, which path to take. Even earlier on, chapter 3, and subsequently, I think chapter 5 also, he keeps saying that then we were talking about the path of action versus the path of knowledge. Okay. And he continued to ask Krishna the question as, if you are saying that path of knowledge is superior, then why are you asking me to do this terrible, gore action? Okay. Then now he's asking that in case of bhakti, which path to follow. This is worship a form or worship the formless. Now the interesting part is that Krishna is laying down both the paths in front of you. So why are we confused? Why should someone else advise us? Why can't we decide? Krishna is saying that both paths are equal because they both take us to God. Now we have to choose our path. And if we are emotional or devotional, worshiping a form is easier. Whereas if we are analytical in our inclinations, or we are intellectual, contemplating on the formless is easier. So each one of us has to choose for ourselves. There is no prescriptive thing that, okay, you take this antibiotic, your cough will be better. Okay, fine. So all the people who are coughing in Delhi start with that antibiotic and hopefully they'll all get better. This path is not like that. We have to choose as per our tendencies, our vasanas, and take the responsibility for our choice. This is what is being advised. And though, of course, Krishna is suggesting worshipping a form to Arjun, because, when you keep asking that should I worship the form or should I worship the formless, then the guy says, okay, fine, you worship the form. It's okay. It's an easier path, Similarly, when he had talked about the choice between action, the path of action and the path of knowledge, Krishna had said that you act just now, because the path of knowledge comes after you have crossed the path of action, when action happens by itself, right? So this is one of the similar kind of things. And with that, we close today's session.